Hari Om. Hari Om. Hari Om. Hello, my friends. I see we are less today. Maybe some people haven't checked that in many places the time has changed in spite of Heidi's warning last time. Well, we'll see after 1 hour. Let's talk about life and death. Birth and death. Being alive after life. It all looks like this from the human standpoint. A being is born, lives for some time, dies, goes. Where do we come from? Where are we going to? As I said a number of times to people, you are not incarnated even now. For you as a being, there's no birth or death. This is something that is happening in this time-space continuum. But you are prior to that, you are not within. You are not without. You simply are timeless, spaceless, here and now. It's all the story. I, as a being, project a part of myself into this time-space, takes the form of a human baby, grows up, collects experiences, dies, disappears, but the being, I, as the being, am never incarnated. I'm there prior to it, during the story, after the story. There's nothing to be afraid of dying. It's simply one act is over, and the consciousness that has been projected into this time and space is simply withdrawn back home. I'm talking about this because Mariano wrote me his father just passed away a few days ago. They have tried to help him as good as possible. Obviously, he had a hard time at the end, and he hopes he's better now. And asked me, what can he do to accompany him? He has previous ones learned some rituals to do, but somehow he feels it's too elaborate. It could go simpler. And it's true. If somebody learns these kind of rituals to help people when they go out of this world, this is perfectly fine. If one likes to do so, but don't think, Mariano, that you are obliged to do so. And if you don't do elaborate rituals, that there is a mistake in it. Your father was never born, never died. The role of the father has a beginning, and before the father he was a young man, and before that he was a baby. Now that role is finished, but that being that was projected as your father has never been born, has never died, is prior to time and space. When he's going home, we forget where we are coming from when we are in this world. That consciousness, that aspect of the consciousness, of the being that is projected, that is born, forgets where we are coming from. And then the story is over and it becomes clear again. People remember, see, reunite with their own being. Become aware, wasn't as real as it appeared. It was real as an experience from moment to moment. But the whole story that appeared to be so real was just a momentary appearance, a magic show where we just played a role. By identifying with it, it was often very hard. By disidentifying with the role and see it as a role, the hardship also disappears. Now what can you do, Mariano? Basically you say you are at peace. That's great. If you feel like doing something, then just connect with your father, with that being that has appeared as your father. Send him your love, send him your best wishes for wherever the journey takes him, and let him go. If there may be lingering regrets about, I should have said this, I should have done that, there is a number of things that maybe I could have done better, then don't hold on to those doubts. It's past, the story is over. If there is something that you feel that maybe you should have told sometime, then you connect with your father, with that being that was your father, and tell it now. Or you just can let it go. Don't send him worries, regrets, and this kind of negative feelings. They are just hurting yourself. They are not bringing anything positive to that being that has withdrawn from this time space. Best you can do is what you are already doing. Accept the situation, and you said he must be better off now. Accept that actually he is better off. When somebody goes that is close, of course, for those who remain, it's always an emotional shock. And we have to learn to deal with it and let it go, overcome it, and turn it into something positive. But those who go, they're fine. So stay with yourself, be at peace. If you feel like connecting, connect in a positive, friendly, loving way, and send this friendly, loving energy to your father. Your father is gone, the role is over. That being that was your father was there before this time and space, was there during that story of your father, is there timelessly, spacelessly now. You can send loving feelings to them. You can send your best wishes, but basically let them go. And then there is the memory Sometimes there are very joyous memories. Sometimes there are not so happy memories. But if there are any emotional tensions that are connected to the memory of a person that has gone, and they come up, then let them come up and deal with it, as I often said. See the memory, see the emotion, feel the emotion, observe the emotion, relax, and let it go. It's the past, the story is over, the chapter is over. So don't keep any grudges, any regrets, anything you think, oh, it's unfinished business. Let it all go. It's past, the story is gone. Be free and wish that being that has gone to be free and continue the adventure of existing in their own unique, beautiful way, or wherever it carries them. Sometimes sadness may come. Let it come. Experience the sadness. Let it be there for some time. Let it go away. Sadness is not something negative as such. It simply becomes draining and extremely painful if we connect sadness with self-pity. If we start to feel sorry about ourselves, that why is this happening to me, then it becomes very heavy and very draining. But if there is no self-pity, if there is just sadness, then that very experience of sadness, consciously observed, consciously experienced, can be very expansive and become beautiful. So sadness may come, let it be there, let it play out, let it go. And continue with what you know is best for yourself. Continue your path in the discovering, continue your path in becoming more self-aware. And whenever your father comes to your mind, you connect in a positive way and let him go and live your life. Okay, I'm stopping with that. I'm asking you, my friends, is there anyone who would like to say something? You're welcome to come in.
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Dayal.
I want to ask you about tricks when it's difficult to meditate. I try to meditate twice a day, and sometimes my mind is peaceful. For example, morning time, I wake up, take cold shower, and I'm fresh. And I usually meditate in silence, even if some disturbance happening, for example, somebody talking next room,
Yeah.
I can ignore it. I can focus on my respiration or sensations. Another case, when I little bit not so peaceful, I use guided meditation. It's, for example, going a voice. Sometimes he reminding, keep on focusing on sensations, on respiration, and it's helpful to me.
Yeah.
This guided meditation I use when it's not so easy. Sometimes evening time, my mind excited, I'm lazy or difficult to meditate. I do another trick. I put on some spiritual audio book and listen this voice and try to meditate at least try to sit with some spiritual information. Sometimes it helpful. I can go deeper. Sometimes it's not. Sometimes it's disturbance. Sometimes I just stop it and understand. So it's not helping at all.
Yeah.
And even sometimes I'm really involved somewhere, and I put on political news and try to ignore it. For example, like a trick. It's a kind of entertainment, but I'm trying to cheat. So can you talk about these tricks and what is helpful and what is not, and what is really can be bad habit?
Just to be sure I understood you properly, as a trick, sometimes you put on political news, but try not to listen to it and meditate at the side. Is that what you said?
Yes, yes. It was only once. I'm not using it often, but I was kind of excited and cannot just sit in silence.
Yeah,
So I need something to hold on. I don't know how to explain. So I was just not ready to meditate.
right. Well, I guess it's best that you do invent, as you do, your own tricks. I don't want to give you a bundle of more tricks. It's good that you see, okay, there is also another side of the coin. If we are developing tricks and more tricks and more tricks, then suddenly the tricks become too important. And then we start to focus more on elaborating our tricks instead of using that to just do that simple thing of being again consciously here now, and learn to relax. So don't let them come to be too important. And then fine, whatever you devise, you can also get up and walk slowly for some time. If you are too restless, if you feel a bit lazy, that may bring the energy back alive and also helps to focus easier for some time in between walking and then sit again. But right, you can, if you do it in the right spirit, you can basically do whatever you want, and everything becomes one of those tricks. Simply don't get too much absorbed in the trick and all the mechanism of it, but just use it to bring the attention back home and then be here now again and focus on that.
Mhm. Yes, okay. I'm trying to continue. Yeah.
And of course, it's often more difficult in the evening after having done a lot of things and being tired than early morning when you come out of a cold shower and the world is still rather peaceful. It's easier. So don't get disheartened that you may not always get the same silence, the same concentration in the evening that you get in the morning. And do what you can, as you are doing. You're doing fine.
Mhm. Thank you, Werner. Thank you, Hariom.
Hari Om. Hari Om. So when dial opened, I saw that Leela was also opening her camera. If you want to come in now. Hello, Leela.
Okay, so my question is about a sentence being heard a lot from people, also something that I've been saying now in Israel. It goes like the mind cannot catch or understand, or in Hebrew we say catch, but I'm not sure what the word in English would be when the mind has to understand and absorb what's going on. it's like too much for the mind, too much for the mind to, yeah, as I said, to understand maybe even.
Yeah.
So I've been contemplating on this sentence. So I wonder, of course, as human beings, as we are made, we need to understand. We need to understand. We are used to understand and to make order in the information. This is what the mind does, actually. Now, in this case, when we can't make order, and also the emotions are just too strong, too strong. So it brought me to this question, why do we actually have to understand and to make order?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Right. It's a good question. Why should we always try to understand and make order? Because we feel somehow secure if that is happening. If we understand, if we think we understand, then there is a certain sense of being on top of the situation, that somehow that you are at least to some extent in control of the situation. But of course, most of the time it's a total illusion. So, and it's better to learn not to build our sense of feeling safe and secure on that illusion. There is a lot of stuff that is very good to understand on the practical level, how to do this, how to do that, to function reasonably. But then we try to understand something that is not really understandable. What is happening around there, it's still on the level where one can understand a lot, but at the same time, it's also good to admit there are so many influences at work there that I'm not aware of, and I cannot really understand the full picture, what's going on. And then not feel because of that insecure, but accept, all right, I understand what I need to understand in my own personal story. I understand what easily is understandable in the bigger picture, but accept that it's not possible to really understand all the details that are going on because so much more is happening. I have also not all the information on all the levels, and then there are subtle levels involved that are influencing. How could I possibly, with my mind that has been formed very mechanical most of the time, grasp all the details of it? Understanding that gives a sense of peace. Understanding that I need not understand. That it's all right that there is forces at work that I cannot understand, and then still or not be afraid because of that, but okay, those forces, they are also supporting and carrying and protecting. There are forces that are attacking and creating problems, but at the same time, there are forces that are supporting and carrying you and protecting. And then we can have a certain faith again that like a little child has, somehow needs to have faith in the parents that they somehow help and are there. That, all right, even if it's terrible, no matter what's going on, that if you are not closing to that, then one can feel that there is also that sense of being protected, and rather build up confidence on that than on the desire to try to understand every detail that is going on. To understand what we can, if we get information, we can somehow wave it in the picture, but still understand at the same time there's so much more going on, and I cannot grasp the whole thing with my mind as it exists.
You know, listening to you, I realized that part of the question, part of the discomfort is actually not accepting or realizing that there isn't much I can do. People now volunteer to help farmers who need help in their farms with the vegetables. And so today I went with my tea and where the guards sit here in the village, and I saw the table with the tea and the coffee and stuff. People bring them some goodies. It was very messy, so I cleaned the table for them. I made order, put everything in order, and cleaned the table for them, and I felt so good. Something small that I could do. Yeah. So, but basically, I can't volunteer much because I'm just not young enough. I would say too old, and yeah.
Yeah.
But and I'm sure it helps them as much as it helps the people that they're helping. So again, going back to this point that I've realized after listening to you about not accepting, it's not that the mind needs to understand it is also, but the mind, the self, we just don't want to accept. I mean, you know, it's difficult to accept, of course, what happened, but I can tell myself, I can't tell other people. It would be easier if you maybe try to accept somehow, try to accept. And you know, there's so many photos in Facebook and everywhere of children and babies that are kidnapped, and yeah, so information is like flying in the air.
Yeah.
And yeah, so it's about not accepting. And also another thing is, which is connected because we need to know, we want to know, we want to know. But now I feel that knowing is a good joke. Knowing is like a good joke, meaning that we don't know, we don't know, we don't know. So it's not a good joke, actually. Maybe it's not so funny, but it felt like that for a second.
Yeah.
We think we know things, but now I know we don't know. We don't know anything.
On the practical, visible level, we can know a lot of things from day to day knowledge. But yes, along with accepting that we cannot know every details on all the levels and all the influences that are involved, comes also that you have to learn to accept. Let's see once again, what is acceptance? Because you said, I cannot really tell this to people, because if you tell that to people, most of the time people understand when you say accept as like giving up, surrendering in a negative way. Of, okay, acceptance is weakness, but it is not. Acceptance doesn't mean that I just let anybody do anything to me and I'm not defending myself. Acceptance is not weakness. Acceptance is strength. Acceptance means that we stop building up that resistance to the fact what I'm experiencing right now. Because it's a fact. Whether I like it or not, whether I accept it or not, the fact of my experience is a fact. It's a momentary fact, but it's still a fact. And struggling against the fact is always misery, because we are using up all our force. It's draining our life force out of us. So acceptance means that we can accept the experience is as it is. I'm experiencing now exactly what I'm experiencing. I don't have to try to put a sugar coating on it and say, it's wonderful, it's nice. It may not be. But if we accept it is as it is, then we have all that strength in us to become aware. Yes, but no matter what the experience, that which is prior to the experience is not affected by it. And there is that joyousness of existence and the beauty of existence and the creativity, and we can, from this aspect, from this standpoint, let that flow into the manifestation as good as we can, even in very difficult and hard situations. But if we are not accepting, then there is always that sense of poor me. It's happening. No, no, no. Shouldn't be like this. Should not. I should not experience like this. And all our life force is being drained away in a futile struggle that the fact is still the fact. Whether I like it or not, whether I struggle against it or not, it's still a fact. But if I accept, then I have all my resources there to bring something positive into it. And actually, I have the possibility to help to turn the situation into a better direction.
Yeah, so just to make like one point, what I understood it actually, I said it before, trying to understand and figure out and know and explain is, as I see it, all it's like all trying to fighting against accepting what is happening. Actually, all the activity of the mind
Right.
is, yeah.
We don't have to make it stronger. Something that is happening that is not nice, that is destructive, we don't have to support that. We can very well put an intent, a vision into it, that it can turn to the better. Accepting that doesn't mean to give up and think, oh, it's hopeless. Accepting simply means not to fight a useless fight, a useless struggle against the fact of what I'm experiencing, because that's a momentary fact, but it's a fact, and struggling against the fact is always misery. But of course, I can tell this to you, but you cannot go out on the road and try to tell people that, because they were not, most of them will not be ready to listen to it and misunderstand you and get angry at you.
No, I know that. I know that. It reminds me of Deepak Chopra. He says quantic Chopra, yeah. Quantic limp, he calls it, like understanding, like yeah. Anyway, it's yeah. Thank you for your explanation and your advice not to talk about it with other people, what they don't. Like, definitely.
Sometimes it may feel right, and spontaneously everything comes toppling out, and it may have a good effect. but we cannot, people who are in that mood of total resistance, come and tell them and say, come, let go, stop resisting. They think you are crazy.
Yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Werner. Thank you.
You're welcome. Hari Om. Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to talk? You're welcome to come in. Then I'll tell you something. This morning, I opened the YouTube and there popped up a video. Somebody was just reading Ramana Maharshi, and the title was Choiceless Awareness or Meditation. And I thought, okay, it's a short video. I open up, maybe it's a good idea that I can pick up and talk in the beginning of the satsang in the afternoon. But then, to my disappointment or to my joy, both, what Ramana was talking about the subject was so totally what I'm anyhow talking all the time about it. Because there is that conflict with Advaita, the modern Advaita, Neo-Advaita, and the more traditional Advaita, that often the Neo-Advaita is trying to tell people not to make any effort. So that for that stands that choiceless awareness. I know that J. Krishnamurti has used that expression a lot, and somebody must have heard it from J. Krishnamurti and talked to Ramana and asked about it, choiceless awareness. And Ramana says so clearly, simply, yes, of course you are that awareness. But then he puts it in traditional terms, your vasanas will carry your attention always away from that. And because of that, we don't get around of making an effort. Those few who simply spontaneously can stay in that pure awareness, they somehow, somewhere have already done that job. But for everybody else, it's meditation in one way or another. It's an effort that we need to make. And as I have said a lot of times, the effort is not to become something that we already are. The effort is to become aware what we are doing, how we are slipping away from that pure awareness, how we are creating all kinds of pains and obstacles, and then learn not to do that anymore. That is what meditation is for. That is what the effort is about. And to deny that, as many teachers have the tendency in the present time to deny that you need to make an effort. Even going so far that they say if you make effort, it's the ego and the ego is simply stronger. It's all wrong. It's right that you don't need to make an effort to be that divine essence. It's right that there is already that pure consciousness at the base. And as I often said, it's not only pure consciousness, it's pure energy, it's pure love. And it's there, we don't have to create it. There is no effort that can create it. It's prior to the effort. But to deny the usefulness of effort is simply not seeing the situation as it is. If people are slipping away from that with their attention and create all kinds of tension, then there we are creating suffering. And if we want to live without suffering, if we want to liberate ourselves from that yoke of dragging on painfully from day to day, if we want to learn to be our natural self, spontaneously being that, effortlessly being that, then we have to make that effort of becoming aware what kind of obstacles we are all the time producing. And Ramana, if you read the talks of Ramana, he talked about it on and on and on and on, telling people how to practice, how to make their minds. He used the phrase "make the mind strong." What does it mean to make the mind strong? It doesn't mean that we learn to think more and more and more. In contrary, to make the mind strong means to become quiet. And to become quiet, we better practice something that makes us more aware, because in that increased awareness, we can see what is the obstacle to naturally be in that pure consciousness. Ramana kept on and on and on talking like this, telling people to do self-inquiry, telling other people to do pranayamas. He was giving also mantras. If somebody tried the practice and it didn't work, he said, okay, try the other one. But he encouraged people tirelessly to make an effort to become more aware. Why? Not to become something that we are already, but to learn to let go of the obstacles. And yet, miraculously, people pick out quotes from Ramana trying to prove to the opposite, that Ramana Maharshi has said that there is no need of any meditation, because he said such things. There's no need of any meditation for the self, for reality, for you as a being. There is no need of any practice to be that divine essence, because it's a fact, it's there. It has never been otherwise. He said these kind of things, and then people pick that out and say Ramana says like this. But if you simply read a bit more, then you see he's saying all the things that we are talking about, that other teachers have been talking about throughout the ages. Like, it's worth the trouble that we catch our attention, that we learn to see what's going on, and then learn to let that go, because it creates the same tensions over and over. It creates the same suffering over and over. And in order to be in our own natural self, consciously conscious, we have to get rid of that. We can practice in a gentle way, in a joyous spirit. And in the beginning, the practitioner has always these ideas of attaining something. At least most of us will have these ideas of have to practice and attain something. Gradually, we can let go that idea of attaining and more practicing, because it makes so totally sense. It helps us to become more alert and more conscious, and better we are aware of what's going on, the easier it becomes to let all that go and learn to be more and more natural. Ramana Maharshi said nothing else. He said it over and over. He encouraged people to practice. It is very helpful if one has daily a regular time that we can put away for that, but then we have to learn to practice also at the time where we are not doing practices. That also becomes part of the meditation. So there is no contradiction between that expression choiceless awareness and meditation. That choiceless awareness we can call pure awareness, it's simply there. And meditation is the means to become aware what kind of obstacles we are creating in the mind all the time, to be consciously aware, in touch with that pure consciousness. Okay, is by now somebody interested in coming in and saying something? You are welcome to do so. So you want me to go on talking? It is, of course, a special situation now. Lila has indicated of what's going on in Israel, which is, of course, extreme. But then it's going on around the world in more or less extreme ways. It's not so dramatic that it comes in the news so much. Actually, in the news, it's rather suppressed to talk about. But the economy is crashing. The middle class in many places is gradually destroyed. And there is shortage of food and lots of problems that simply were not there. It is an intense situation where it's still going on. Now nobody talks about it anymore because it's already there since a while in Ukraine. All these people suffering hell. We can be aware of all that intensity that is there. As I have said before in other satsangs, but that intensity is also a possibility. Let's remember what I said in the beginning again. You are not really incarnated. Nothing can really happen to you, but you are. That role that we are playing, that of course, it's fragile, can be wiped out in a moment. But still, we have projected here for that purpose of gaining experience. And the point of it is that we learn, no matter what the situation, to remember to connect with the essence. And in that happening, that there is a person manifest in the world, the consciousness that has gotten attached to it, that we learn in this situation to detach from that identification. I, me, a person, me and the others, that in this situation of intensity, where the attention is so easily sucked up in so many things that are going on and has the tendency to create despair, seeing what's going on, that even in that situation that we can learn to bring the attention back and bring it to the essence and be aware, nothing really can happen to what I am. That being capable of doing that in a difficult situation brings so much beautiful energy on this level. And that energy that is harnessed in this way is accumulating something beautiful that is enriching the experience of that being that is projecting into this world. That being that you are. And even when that story is over, that wealth that we have accumulated in this lifetime is still there. The essence remains the same. The experience of that essence, that incomprehensible essence of existence, the experience of that keeps on unfolding. That's what we are here for. And this time is in many ways a very bad time. So many people have to go through hardship. So many people have to suffer. Superficially, it's totally unclear what's really going on, that there are actually powers behind it that are continuously struggling to destroy and control. And yet, it is just a momentary appearance. It's not as real as it appears to be. It's good, no matter what is happening, to remember, hey, come on, this is a magic show. However negative, however terrible the appearance becomes, it's still just a magic show. Momentary appearances, momentary experiences. It comes, it goes, click, 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 and we create a continuity and a hard reality. But if we are capable, in spite of the difficulty of the situation, to bring the attention back to the essence, then that is even much more beneficial than if everything is nice and beautiful and it's easy to do so. So a hard situation is always also an opportunity. Let's make the best out of this opportunity from moment to moment, from day to day. So I guess maybe you have read the question that Anita has to go, but she writes a question. If I can talk about karma that we bring from past lives, which then seems to fit in with what astrology says. Thank you. All right, let's talk about karma. When that story starts, when that projection is happening, when that baby is born in this world, there is usually already quite a package there of probabilities. And the traditional way is saying, okay, it's karma that we bring from the past life. We can say so, or we can as well say that that being that has projected has already given a certain setup how the life is going to take directions. I'm sure it's not written in stone in every detail, but there is that setup that is there, that is pushing in a certain direction. And that can be seen astrologically. That their astrology, after all, sees what is exactly the picture at the moment of birth. How the stars stand in relation to each other, and from experience then can say this constellation has this kind of tendency, this kind of effect. This can only show probabilities. Karma is the law of cause and effect. And what has been brought along, let's not fight with each other exactly where it's coming from, but everybody agrees that there is a package there when a baby is born. It's a package full of probabilities. And a skillful astrologer may predict a quite an exact story of a lifetime that may happen. But then, this is just a probability. And if that being, if the baby grows up and the consciousness is more and more just sucked into the habitual story that is being imposed from the world around, if the consciousness is completely sucked into that identification with that person that gradually emerges, never even stops and have a look at it, and maybe have some doubts about the concrete reality of it, then that those probabilities are most probably simply going to unroll themselves and manifest themselves. And the karma and the astrological predictions is proven to be true. But it's not a solid. That package that comes along is a package of tendencies, of probabilities. And if somehow, for some reason, that being is not simply totally identifying with that story, but starts to look back, starts to have a good look at their own experience, momentarily steps out of the current of time and space and things that are happening, then suddenly we are stepping out of karma. We are stepping out of all those probabilities that are sure to happen if we simply mindlessly and half asleep, not very conscious, go along with the story. People who live like this, they think, oh, I'm deciding every day what I'm doing from moment to moment, not being aware of the subtle energies that push them all the time, developing habits, developing patterns that push them to take decisions, to decide not being aware that actually they hardly decide anything but simply let the story unroll itself. But when you stop, when you connect with the essence, there you are stepping out of cause and effect. You're stepping out of the power of karma, the power of your chart. Your astrological chart has no power here now. It has to do with the story, with the manifestation. Here now, you are beyond that. You are prior to that. You are free of that. And every time somebody connects, at least to some degree, with that timelessness, something totally unpredictable, constructive, beautiful flows into the story. The more somebody lives connected with that, the less there is at all karma, the less meaning an astrological chart has, because you are connecting with that primordial creativity that is way more powerful than whatever package is there. And the more somebody lives like this, one becomes aware of the subtle energies that pull and push us from moment to moment in our daily life, and learns to just see them as energies and deal with them on that level. And what otherwise, if we are not conscious, is bound to manifest, bound to happen, need not manifest if we don't want to do so. Most of the time, the story may just be left going. But then there are all those patterns that are creating suffering again and again. And if you become aware of that, how it is functioning, the mechanism, become aware of the pull of the habit that has been formed, the pull of subtle energies that want to push you in a certain direction, then we can learn to deal with that on that level, and it's losing its power. It need not manifest. Here, now, there is no karma. You, as a being, you don't have a destiny. You don't have any karma. The destiny is for the story. The karma is for the story. And the more you live in harmony with yourself, the less power that destiny has, the less power the karma has, the less meaningful astrological chart becomes. We are not here as a punishment. That often people jump to that conclusion because of the traditional teaching that we have done good actions and then get good karma, we have done bad actions, get bad karma, and so of thinking we are here as a punishment. We are here because it's an opportunity. We have chosen to be here, to have that opportunity, to become stronger, to accumulate something very precious. Not changing the essence, but changing the capacity of experiencing the essence, of letting that experience unfold. And so the karma is not something negative that we are victims of and have to just go through it at all costs. The karma is a probability, and the more you are self-aware in the present, the less power that probability has. Okay, I dropped the subject and I'm asking you again. Is there anybody who would like to come in?
Hello, Werner.
Hello, Maria.
Hello. My question is related to how to deal with information with this overload of information that I definitely experience, and I'm sure many of us do. And what I noticed is that because it affects my practice, I feel it very strongly. When I am in a very busy period at work, when I do a lot of mental work and I deal with lots of emails and lots of documents to read, and the meditation takes me longer time to let go, much longer. When I am in a holiday period, when it's my choice, and I usually cut down dramatically on dealing with information, and then I feel my body is lighter and my mind is freer. So it's like that clarity now obviously brings the question of how to simplify the way I deal with information, because I'm also aware that I don't need that much. I don't need as much as my mind thinks I do.
Right.
And the more I have these deep experiences of what I would call channeling, where is that suddenly I find myself talking about something that I haven't thought about it consciously.
Yeah.
But somehow the answers come, and then I hear myself saying it, and it's like, wow, that's really clever. And the normal I, is not the source of this. My rational self is not the source of this.
Yeah.
And then, this thing has an impact on the information, has an impact on my then having to declutter, because the decluttering, I'm quite good at doing decluttering on the physical. And I've come to a point where my environment is very simple.
Yeah.
So, and that helps me a lot. And now my digital environment is the one that needs to be simplified. Because I have hundreds of folders.
Yeah.
And my aim is to get to the point where I don't need to get to having to simply to declutter so much my digital storage, where I don't even store stuff. Where my storing is also simple. So if you could please comment on these things, that would help.
Right. And it's not simply the external and the digital environment that needs to be simplified, but the storage that we are keeping in the mind, in the consciousness, in the subconscious. It's that. And of course, if you are more active and have a lot of different things to do and a lot of different things to think about, the tendency is that it's sticking around. And after that, you are not so easily, so quickly capable of letting it go. That's normal. But it's a good idea to basically have the direction of simplifying the life, not making it more complicated. Because it's easier then to detach from it and turn the attention in the good direction. And apart from that, it's just a matter of practice. You are aware, okay, if you are more aware while you are active and dealing with all that information, then you can already be more detached and it's sticking less around. If you are totally unconscious there and just gobbling it up and gobbling it up and gobbling it up, then it's after that more difficult to get rid of it. If while you are doing so, you already remember, okay, there's all that information, that is what I have to do, there is what they want from me, that's and all that stuff. But then at the same time, you again and again remind you, yes, but here now I am not affected by that. Then it's after that less building up and sticking around, that after that in meditation you have to really rub again to get rid of it. But anyhow, if it's there, it's a good thing to still meditate and not think anyhow it's no good, my meditation is useless because I keep on thinking of the same things. That rubbing, that cleaning work in meditation is very, very useful.
Yeah.
But of course, we would rather prefer to come and meditate and be at peace, instead of first going through all that stuff and getting rid of. If it's there, then accept it's there and you have to deal with it and let it go as good, as fast as you can. But we can minimalize it, not by forcing yourself to now minimalize your external activity, just have the rather, just the direction of rather simplify than complicate. But then while doing it, remind yourself to be more alert, and more alertness brings more detachment, and more detachment will not store up that stuff that sticks around so much. So when you after that try to meditate, you will come already with a much smaller burden.
Mm. Thank you. I also feel that part of the process I'm going through is this shifting from looking for so many for answers outside and turning more the attention inside.
Yes.
It's like, years ago I used to get excited with new courses,
Yeah.
training courses and so on. And now I have no inclination to do most of that. From time to time, a little thing of here and there. I feel that the meditation is the source.
Yes,
Is yeah.
And then what you mentioned before, that many times suddenly answers or directions come which you don't have usually in your rational self. It's not something that you brooded about and then came to a conclusion, but because you are regularly practicing, you are touching that storehouse of wisdom that is already there, that everybody is touching that. And the more you can open up to that, the more spontaneously knowledge comes when you need it from you think where it's coming from. It's coming out of yourself, not because you put it there consciously, like you learn ABC and two, but because it's already there all the time. And then that letting go of that burden that we unnecessarily putting on top of it, and practicing regularly, that intuitive capacity is gradually opening up and getting subtler, and often you are surprised about the wisdom that is suddenly there, how to deal with a situation, even if nobody told you like this.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes, thank you. Yeah, that's the deep feeling now, that's the direction inside. The book is inside, my teacher used to say.
Right. If you feel like reading, sometimes you can read, but not obsessive and more and think more and more reading to get again a new kick. But sometimes one feels like opening up a good book and gets a hint, and it's connecting something, and it's a good inspiration. It's nothing wrong, but we don't need to look for knowledge out there or in the books. It's already in you, definitely.
Yeah. Thank you so much for the reassurance.
You're welcome. Wish you well.
Thank you.
Hari Om.
Hari Om.
Hari Om. Is there anybody else who would like to say something?
I have another question
Okay. You're
about
welcome.
what you said about what you said about karma and what we bring here. I don't think you used you did you use the word like bring here? What we
Yes.
come with when we're born.
Yeah, it's the same. Yes.
Yeah, so I wonder about chronic diseases such I have on my skin. And last time I had an operation on my nose, I said to my friend, I decided it's the last time, no more. So this week I said to her, I have another one. I have to go to see the doctor. So she said, but you said it was the last one.
Yeah.
So and she meant it. She meant it. She said, there is work we have to do with what we come with to the world. There's work we have to do, work we can do in order to prevent the manifestation of whatever is written there. And I was a bit pissed, like, yeah, I didn't want to go into this whole conversation, but as far as I feel, there is only so much that I can do, also from what I listen to you. Okay, I watch what I eat. Okay, I live the most healthy life I'm able to, whatever I do. I talk to God, I talk to the flowers, whatever, but
Yeah.
things happen. Things happen. Now I have another one, which I think needs to be taken out.
Mhm.
So also I feel that don't work like one-to-one.
Mhm.
I can do something that maybe it will help somebody else when I talk to the flowers, but maybe it wouldn't help me or whatever I do to, yeah. Yeah, it doesn't work with one-to-one. I feel that way anyway. So I wonder what you have to say about it.
What I have to say is do that which you really feel from your heart is right.
Mm.
And okay, you said this is the last one. Somebody has picked it up and then picks on you. Then
Yeah.
why are you going to go for it again?
Yeah.
Now, if that makes you to introspect more and you feel deep down, okay, I'm not going, then it's right not to go. But simply because you said the last time, this is the last one, if you feel this is the right thing to do, then you do what you feel is the right thing.
No, but the question is whether I can prevent them from coming at all.
We can bring a lot of healing influence in our life that can neutralize karma that would manifest if we would not do that. Now, some karma may be stronger than what we can produce as healing influence. So you cannot say yes or no. Both is there. We can neutralize a lot of karma, becoming aware of that influence and somehow learn to deal with it. We can do all kinds of external things and try to live healthy and all that, or we can learn to just feel healthy, to connect consciously with that healing energy that we have. And actually, the more we can do that, the more we can neutralize negative karma from manifesting. That doesn't mean if now something is there and you feel it's the right procedure to do something about it, that you should not do something about it. But if you ask me if it's possible to neutralize that it need not come back, yes, it is possible.
We just don't know how much we have actually influenced not to come. We don't know. There are so many things maybe on the paper written that
Right.
we have managed to prevent them from coming.
It's good to be conscious of the fact
Yeah.
that we are having that healing power in us, that basically you are whole. And then in manifestation, tensions may create difficulties, but if you connect with that purity, with that wholeness, with that holiness of yourself, then a lot of that can flow into the manifestation and repair things that otherwise would go wrong. It's good to be aware of that and then open up to that, and maybe gradually we can become stronger and stronger. At the same time, if something still is manifesting, you can accept the fact that it's manifesting and deal with it reasonably.
Yeah.
Yes, yes.
Thank you.
So one
Yeah.
is not excluding the other, huh?
Right, right. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
Absolutely. Very good. Hari Om.
Aria.
Hari Om. We have much more potential than what we usually are aware of. But the way we have been brought up has put blocks there, breakers, that even if these kind of thoughts come, that there is a great potential there, then there is also immediately, somehow silently, the voice there from all our past, from our experience. Anyhow, that may be theoretically true, but practically I can't. Or some people may be able, but I can't. Or I'm not good enough, I'm not strong enough. We can, when we feel that, be aware of that and let that go. And then dive more and more in that ocean of creativity that can be just manifest, that can flow out. At the same time, this is a relative level, and some influences may be just too strong. And it makes sense in the long run that something is manifesting that is unpleasant, that the very fact of confronting that unpleasantness and dealing with it in a positive way in itself is also an aspect that helps us to expand and grow. So connecting with our own potential and accepting that on manifestation some things are beyond our control is not a contradiction. We can, in a joyous, in a detached and joyous way, connect with that potential and leave the possibility open that maybe we can influence much more than what we believed we can on all the levels. At the same time, not be obsessed with succeeding. If it works, wonderful. And if we still have to learn some lesson of certain things manifesting that we try to remove in this way, then accept, okay, it still comes, I have to deal with it and learn in process of doing so. Let's learn to be playful about the whole story. Not indoctrinated by the tradition and how we are brought up, but then not be indoctrinated by new ideas that come, but take them in consideration, learn to open up that they can give a pointer that there is a much greater potential that we thought, open up to that, but then also not be fixed on the details and not fixed on I must be successful with it, because there we are again back in the same train. We are again back in identifying with the personality and just want to make our personality more glorious. Let's go of that identification with the personality and become aware there is a connection with a tremendous potential in that, but not to become a greater person, but being aware, okay, the person is a role play, I'm playing, but I'm not that person. And in that lies a great potential. And as we are opening up to that, we may become surprised and more able to let it flow into manifestation, that it is influencing things that otherwise would have manifested and now need not. I wish you all well. Hari Om, Hari Om, Hari Om.